Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to the Thursday, July 17th, 2025 City of Tumwater Public Works Committee meeting. And with us today, we have Councilmember Althauser and myself, Councilmember Swarthout. Councilmember Jefferson is excused. First order of business is the approval of the minutes for the Public Works meetings from May 22nd, 2025 and June 5th, 2025. A motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right. So we're going to speed right along to our first item on the agenda, and that's the interagency agreement with the Washington Department of Commerce for Washington Electric Vehicle Charging Program closeout update.
Yes, good
And
morning.
Alyssa, you have the longest titles known to mankind. But I can
They're
at least
always with the
pronounce
grant.
one, right? I don't have to say fish passage removal.
I have an AKA one here. That's what we've been calling it.
Oh, there you go.
Outside of
Okay.
agenda item formal
I see.
titles. It's the fleet charging project closeout. So
Oh,
good
fine. It's
morning.
not on mine.
There's a special naming schema that we're intended to follow for the agenda items. This is a closeout presentation for a project that Public Works Committee and City Council approved, associated with a grant funding opportunity that was provided to us back in 2024. So just wanted to do the formal closeout with Public Works Committee. That's the case for both of my presentations today. Right. Why did we do this project? Because the 25-26 City Council strategic priorities have a priority for being a leader in environmental health and sustainability, including sufficiently resourced programs from the Thirst and Climate Mitigation Plan and prioritize implementation. And this is relevant to a specific action in the Thirst and Climate Mitigation Plan of zero emission fleets. Also, we have an internal document, the Tumwater Contracting and Purchasing Policies and Procedures, and we have a specific requirement for environmental purchasing to replace gas and diesel vehicles with electric or hybrid vehicles. It's also consistent with an RCW for local governments and state agencies to transition our fleets over to electric as much as possible. We also did another internal document, the Green Team Fleet Electrification Assessment back in 23-24, that found that we could really identified all of the vehicles that would be best suited to move over from internal combustion engines over to electric vehicles or hybrid for both the non-police fleet and the police fleet. That then dictated how many chargers we would need in what locations and what years for the trend of the overall electrification. So that identified that we needed 2 new chargers, level 2 chargers at City Hall, 10 in the future at police, operations, fire stations, parks, facilities, so on and so forth, in order to meet our needs. So those are not phased out in the years on this slide because that gets a little too much, but simplified, these are the number of chargers that we will need by 2030 to support 70% gasoline consumption reduction and fleet electrification as much as we possibly can. We got a grant to install these EV chargers to support fleet. We had an initial grant of $78,000. We had targets to finish the installation within $270, and this 270 days. It's still morning. I haven't had enough tea yet. And this program is funded by the Climate Commitment Act. More tea. Some changes happened since the initial approval. We removed Old Town Center from the list of locations that would be getting charging because parks moved locations and it no longer was, things happened in the time that it takes for the state to issue grants for us to adopt and then for us to move things forward. So that triggered a change order with the grant that reduced the funding because we didn't have that location anymore. We also got a request from the fire department to move the location of the chargers from where we had initially decided that they would go, which required additional trenching and paving work. So that increased the project costs. There were lots of changes with this project. PSC Up and Go, when I initially brought this to you all, had noted that there would be a $10,000 per location incentive from Puget Sound Energy for their Up and Go program. But between the time in which the grant agreement was approved and construction began, PSC changed their rules as to what would be required for getting that incentive, which now required us to add new meters at each site, separate meters, which would have been cost prohibitive. So we stepped away from that financial incentive because the costs were already changing quite a bit, trying to keep it as close to what was originally approved as possible. And then another fun change, the Federal Inflation Reduction Act direct pay incentives may or may not continue to exist by the 2025 tax year filing deadline. It's my understanding that it will now. Things change so often, but I think we have until September 30th to still utilize those direct pay, so we should be able to use that to help recoup some of the changing costs. So because I noted a lot of different costs that changed throughout the process for this project, I wanted to provide you a nice handy table of the original estimate and real costs. So like I said, we lost the $40,000 PSC incentive. The Old Town Center removed $15,000 from the grant funding. And we didn't know what the PSC fees would be for the shutdown and reconnection that we need to do because we needed to add a new service, a new meter for one of the locations, period. So overall, lots of changes, but the project was $2,207 over initial budget estimate. And the city match did go up quite a bit because of those unfortunate changes, especially the PSC incentive and the reduction in the grant funding. But thankfully, the sustainability general fund budget was set up in such a way that we had kind of other pools of money to draw from. Since this was a thirst and climate mitigation plan action, I have a TCMP implementation line item and also a grant match line item. So we were able to recoup those costs within already budgeted funds that were very consistent with what the project is. And we have more chargers now. We have 8 more chargers at we have 2 at the main fire station, 2 at the north end fire station, 2 more at the operations yard, and 2 in the police yard, as well as 2 additional future stubbed out ones for easy installation and cheaper installation at police for future electrification of their fleet as well. So I'm happy to take any questions that you might have now, but this is informational. The project is done, didn't go exactly as planned, but it stayed relatively consistent with the budget that was originally proposed.
Michael.
I don't think I have any questions. I mean, I'm just glad that we were able to sort of be flexible and pivot in recognition of some of the funding challenges that arose, while then basically staying within the exact budget that we sort of had envisioned. So I'm glad we were able to be creative without compromising kind of the underlying goals of the program.
Thank you.
It's great.
We had to adapt.
Yeah.
So I was trying to keep up with what the Cascadia piece that was in here. So we installed, I was just looking the number, do we have the system up as far as the solar panels yet? Is that the next?
That's my next presentation.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm ahead of myself then. My only question is with the chargers so far, so they are installed, correct?
They are installed.
Have we had any problem with people messing with them so far?
None of our chargers that we've installed have we had people trying to get copper or cut cords or anything. We haven't had any issues to date, knock on wood, with any vandalism. So that's been a blessing.
Okay. Do we have eyes on those, or how do we keep those safe?
A lot of them are within view of existing cameras.
Okay.
Not 100% of them are.
Okay. It's just.
But 2 of them are within fenced yards that have restricted access.
Okay.
And the fire stations are the ones that are kind of like out there more. Right. We have had one instance of a community member using the charger already. So we'll be adding some for fleet use only signs, as well as issuing RFID cards to kind of lock down the fleet stations, because it is a specific use that was dictated in our grant application and contract that these are for fleet use.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm aware of people that do like to drive around and see which ones are available for Yeah. So, okay. All right.
charging is helpful wherever you can find it.
Exactly, exactly. Well, very cool. All right. So since I'm already jumping the gun to the next one, let's talk about solar panels.
Okay.
Okay.
This is another grant closeout for the Solar Plus Storage Feasibility Assessment. Started in 2024, finished up a month or two ago. So just a refresher, Solar Plus Storage, it's a solar photovoltaic array paired with battery energy storage. It's to generate electricity and store it, and it's helpful for not only reducing electricity bills and reducing emissions, but also having added resiliency in the event of power outages. We have backup generators at both of these locations, but this would reduce the need for us to have that nice black puff of smoke and use of fossil fuels to back up the locations. Again, this is tied directly to City Council strategic priorities associated with the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan, but also with other priorities and goals, decarbonizing new and existing buildings wherever practicable, and engage the community on benefits of environmentally sustainable practices. Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan has a specific action for public building solar, and that's to basically throw solar on everything that's possibly feasible. We've done this so far with City Hall, which was installed way before the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan, but then also 2 water resources infrastructure locations got solar 2022, 2023. So this is plans for additional consistent with this. And the reason why the engaging community and the benefits of environmentally sustainable practices is here, because we did a public survey associated with this project to make sure that we got some public input. This was also funded by the Climate Commitment Act. We got a grant in the amount of $50,000, which remained $50,000, and there was no city match required. So we did this on this assessment on the 2 fire stations within City of Tumwater. So I'll start with the fire department headquarters. There is a nice graphic of where the solar panels could go. It has been designed, this is essentially shovel ready minus the permits, for a solar PV array of 92.8 kilowatts, battery energy storage system, or BESS, of 125 kilowatts. It would take up about 70% of the annual consumption of the fire station, of the main fire station, and have a first year savings of about $10,500. The period of autonomy is relative to the battery. So if there was a power outage, we look at this both in summer and winter because we have vastly different amounts of sunlight available to us in the different seasons. In June, the current demand upon the building, we would be able to be fully autonomous. If it was significantly more, say it is an actual EOC activation or Emergency Operations Center activation, and there's more people, more computers operating in the building or charging additional cars or whatnot, that goes into the 150 to 200% demand, but we would still be good for more than 24 hours. In January, in winter months, this system is designed to give us 18 hours of our normal demand, 150% is 8.5, so on and so forth. So this would help a lot in the everyday. And definitely if we have an emergency like a Cascadia or something like that, or a heat wave that we need to activate an EOC for, we would be able to be completely not interrupted by any power outages with this as designed. Through this process, we found out that the backup generator is currently at the main fire station is currently set up only to support essential loads. A lot of staff were under the impression that it was designed and to kind of take care of everything, but it's actually only for essential loads right now. So there is a need for additional backup power capacity, especially if we need backup power during an Emergency Operations Center activation, as this is our EOC. So a lot of the feedback that we got from the community survey is that people did not want us to just only turn over to battery. They wanted us to have kind of a co-designed system where we had additional backup power from the battery working in conjunction with the backup generator. That was very clear. So as such, the feasibility assessment and design was designed so that the battery is the primary backup source, but that if it reaches a low state of charge, that it would then switch on the generator until the solar panels would be able to recoup enough power to be able to be the primary source again. So it would go battery first, then generator, then back to battery in an outage situation. That would also help us meet those above and beyond essential loads requirements or needs. But something that's worth noting here, because Tumwater cares about trees, if and when this is constructed, we would need to remove a few small trees over here, not these big Doug firs, don't worry, these smaller street trees, in order to meet Washington Fire Code around battery energy storage systems. The battery energy storage system that was included in these designs does have, it's fully contained and it has its own fire suppression system, but we still have 10 or 15 feet that need to be completely cleared of vegetation in either direction just to be extra super duper safe. So we would need to remove, I think it's 2 trees over here that are associated with the sidewalk over here. Because you can see that the battery, the BESS is located over here in the design. And that location was negotiated with the fire chief and our building inspector, and a lot of thought went into that location. So the estimated cost for construction is $1.6 million as a high estimate. We expect this to be able to be funded with grant funding. And we would be able to have between $10,000 and about $18,000 annual reduction in bill, electricity bill, which would be very helpful, I think, for our budget. We are going to be seeking grant funding for this. I don't think we have the general fund to support this for construction at this time, so I will be actively seeking grant funding for both of these projects. And thankfully, the Climate Commitment Act has funding available. For solar, we just need to wait until that particular opportunity comes up that fits perfectly for this. So I'll move on to the North End Fire Station, which is going to be doing some renovation, which is still in discussion and wasn't fully fleshed out at the time of this feasibility assessment. But North End Fire Station, you can see where the solar panels would be on the roof of the building and the battery energy storage system over here, nice and far away from trees. Don't need to remove any for this particular system. The solar size PV would be 43.2 kilowatts. Smaller batteries needed. It's a smaller fire station, less occupied, less power need. So a 35 kilowatt battery energy storage system. It's estimated to more than 100% cover the annual consumption of the building. There might be some months where it's net metering, kind of banking in the summer and then kind of pulling from those credits in the winter, but more than 100% of the need for the building. Similar to the main fire station in the summer, if it's normal operation, continuous supply from the solar and battery. We don't need to turn on the backup generator if there's a power outage. But December, we would. It would be 39 hours in December, January for the normal demand. This is not our main emergency operations center, so it's unlikely that we would have too much of an increase in demand. So thankfully, we got some good numbers there. Our outages don't normally last super, super long, so good design for overall reduction for the building and resiliency. However, even though the roof was replaced in 2017, it is in fair condition. So contractors, as part of the feasibility assessment, did suggest replacing the roof before installing any solar system. And then the future expansion, not knowing exactly what that means, when that's going to happen, where things are going to go, that makes the timing for seeking construction funding for this project kind of difficult. But like I said, no designs were available at the time of the study to anticipate any future additional load because it is adding, I think, a couple bedrooms and some additional living space for the fire people. For this project, it's under $1 million for the high range cost estimate. We got a low, but for both stations, forgot to mention this, we have a low cost, a high cost, and this is every anticipated cost associated with the project, including a large contingency. Again, I will seek grant funding for this to go forward with funding this project, and it would save the city money and make us more resilient. Now, I wanted to add some context. Last year, the year before, we also did 2 other solar plus storage feasibility assessments, one at City Hall as it's the backup EOC location, and another at the library because it's our only heating and cooling shelter for the city and it does not have any backup power. So when I'm seeking grant funding for solar plus storage, I'm looking at all of these and trying to kind of Goldilocks, the right project for the right funding opportunity. For instance, the North End Fire Station, there is a PSE grant available for the size, but including storage, but not the cost. So it's really looking at a lot of different requests for proposals, different grant opportunities to really kind of right size the project to the opportunity. My highest priority of all of these is the library, because that's the one that's associated with potential loss of life, because it's our heating and cooling shelter for public use. So that's, in my mind, the project that I'm looking for grant funding the most aggressively for, followed by the main fire station because it's our EOC. But I'm happy to take any questions that you have about the solar plus storage feasibility assessment to the fire station grant closeout. Ta-da.
Oh, that's amazing work. Wow, wow, wow. This is really something, right, Michael? Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
really
pretty
something.
incredible.
Yeah.
Fingers are crossed that we are able to secure grants to sort of see that through to fruition, especially with things changing at the federal level. But with CCA, I mean, that's kind of the importance of state action and having state resources available. So we get to control the priorities for those in a different way.
That's what I was going to confirm, Michael. Is it the funding for that one is state funding, right? So
CCA is state funding.
okay,
Yeah.
right. So we have better chance.
Carbon. Yeah.
So on that one, Alyssa, because of the size of our city, sometimes we haven't been able to be as competitive in because of our size. So what do you think about that as far as our chances getting either the library or this fire station, or what's out there, do you think?
For the Climate Commitment Solar Act
Mhm.
grant funding that has been available so far, it doesn't look like you have to be a big city to be most competitive for that. In fact,
Mhm.
actually more rural areas seem to be better, and we are within one classification of USDA considered rural. So if that's
Mhm.
part of the scoring criteria, then we would maybe be actually more competitive.
Mhm.
A lot of, so for instance, this year's round of solar funding from the Climate Commitment Act, they didn't open it up for full application. They opened it up for people who had applied and been rejected before to provide funding. We were anticipating that we'd be able to apply this year, but that was not the case because so far, every time we've applied for the funding, we have been awarded the funding. So hopefully next year, when that opens up again, I will apply. We have the opportunity to apply for multiple sites based on the past year. So I'll probably put in an application for all 4 sites and hope that one or more of them get funded. I know that it had previously also been set up for a 30% cost match because they were banking on the federal tax incentive from the IRA for direct pay as kind of being that, so that there would be no out-of-pocket costs after reimbursements for the jurisdictions. But with that sunsetting, I'm interested to see what Commerce decides in terms of how they set up the grant opportunity next year. But then also Puget Sound Energy has opportunities, and we also have opportunities to get kind of creative about this stuff too, where we could lease the roofs to kind of, that's not the most ideal for battery storage, but for other kinds of solar, that is a way to get the renewable energy credits back and not have the out-of-pocket costs. But that's my least ideal approach because I want us to actually have as tangible as greenhouse gas emission reduction can be, those emission reductions truthfully and not just on paper.
Okay. And just being able to, that was one thing I've got, I mean, you've got panels too, Michael, but just having that, being able to store, that would be the part that I just wish that we had as private consumers, to be able to have that ability to store, like right now in these big events, to be able to store and, yeah.
Yeah, there are options. They're just very expensive, both for residential and for commercial use.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. So thank you for this. This is really exciting. So I really appreciate your work. You're amazing. You're such a wizard cobbling these things together. So.
Hey, you all accepted the plan. I'm just following that and the breadcrumbs of grant opportunities that are available.
Going down these rabbit holes. So I appreciate this so very, very much. So this is exciting. So I know sometimes I just appreciate that the people that are on the council that may want to hear this sometimes. So just kind of keep this in the back, just like just an update sometime, perhaps just to, just keep us abreast of what sometimes it feels like we're not getting near our climate goals, but I always want to keep that on the forefront, that what you're doing and that we are, the things that we are making progress towards. So I appreciate your work. So.
It is
Right.
progress, but we won't have the
Mm.
greenhouse gas emission reductions until this is actually
Right.
installed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a step in the right direction, but
Yeah.
not getting us those emission reductions quite yet.
Yeah, but at least we're taking that. We've got you, and we're moving in the right direction. So I appreciate
Indeed.
that. So, well, good. All right. So, do we have anything else on the agenda? Any other action? Anything that we need to discuss today, other than staying cool out there? It's not quite as hot today as it was yesterday. So, yeah, Michael, you go back and get some sleep, and everyone else stay cool. And so it's a Lake Fair day, so everybody go down and enjoy some great food. And so with that, I will call the Thursday, July 17th, 2025, City of Tumwater Public Works Committee meeting adjourned. Have a good day, guys.